Assalamu alaikum, namaste, sat sri akal, shalom and good day. You are listening to Awaz Community Radio. And today on the radio, we'll be talking about SKT Welfare. Now, before we chat to them, give us a call. It's 0161 839 9817. Catch us on Facebook. Just type in Awaz Community Radio or tweet us at Awaz Radio 122. You can email us. It's awazcommunityradio@gmail.com or check us out on our website www.awazcommunityradio.com. Thank you for listening to Awaz Community Radio. Your host for today is Saira. That's me. Hello. And my guest today is Hifsah. Hi, Hifsah.
Hiya. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you very much for coming in.
Oh, thank you for having us.
And you are representing SKT Welfare today. So can you tell our listeners, what is SKT Welfare?
Of course. So SKT Welfare is a UK-based charity. It came into inception in 2008. SKT Welfare has delivered aid in places like Morocco, Pakistan, Somalia, Gaza, and more. Our work is more predominantly based in Syria, and we have been working in Syria since 2011. We have a base out in Syria, so we have Syrian people working for our charity in Syria. We have people in the UK raising money so that money gets to Syria and to Turkey, where our orphanage is. And we also have a base in Jordan, we have a base in Sweden, and we have a base in the USA.
And what does SKT stand for?
Sacred Knowledge Trust.
Oh, that's very deep.
Yeah.
So what was your focus in the first few years?
So in the first few years, especially with the uprising in Syria, we focused on getting food packs out there. We focused on getting, clean water, and actually identifying what the need was, because initially when the uprising happened, it was more internally displaced people without shelters. So naturally, along with all other humanitarian organisations, they were thinking about setting up refugee camps. But as time went along, they started to leave Syria and going into neighbouring countries. So places like Turkey, places like Jordan, places like Iraq, there was a lot of overspill of Syrian refugees. So SKT Welfare decided to do an assessment on the locations and decided to build orphanages, support local countries so that they could help with the Syrian need. So we focused on sheltering people, focused on feeding people, focused on giving people clothing, especially in the winter because it's so severe, focused on making sure that they were safe, making sure that they had someone or somewhere to go. That was our main thing.
That's great. So now what's the focus now with SKT Welfare?
So as many people will know, the Syrian crisis is still ongoing. I would say it was more severe than it has ever been. So as it has been reported in the news, Aleppo was one of the places that was mentioned in the news where there was a bombardment of bombings, and that was the place where the uprising was quite central. So because of the bombing, the infrastructure is totally depleted, as in most places in Syria. So we're focusing on food. There was one of our CEOs of SKT Welfare was talking not so long ago about there was a mother who come forward about her daughter or son who had a severely disfigured face due to the bombs and the shelling touching the face and burning the face. And obviously to look on that, it's not a pleasing sight to look upon. So the mother was in a distressed situation and was saying, I need my child to go and get, reconfiguration of the face. But it was a decision of making the face look presentable or saving people's lives, because there's people starving to death. The food crisis is, you can't imagine, it's unimaginable. People are dying because there's no food. So especially this year, we've focused this Ramadan in providing food packs, and SKT Welfare provide food packs for £50, and that will cover the month of Ramadan for a family of 5. And it's things that we would take for granted. It's things like bulgur wheat, rice, pasta, vermicelli, jam, sugar. It's oil, the things that we wouldn't think twice about because it's so readily available. So yeah, food packs is something that we're really, really focusing on this year.
It's so interesting that you say that you think the situation is worse now. I feel that perhaps because it's been going on for so long, people feel like it's either finished or it's there in the background, but it's not high on the priority list. What do you say?
I would totally agree with that, because if something's not in your face or something has been going on for so long, we start to put it at the back of the mind, and it's natural because we're human beings. This is what we do. But what we have to do is refocus ourselves and look at our own need. Thankfully we're given a lot of things, and we have to be thankful for that. But at the same time, we should take that step back and look at the world around us, connect to our humanity, because unfortunately the Syrian crisis doesn't look like it's going to end. And if we, the people, we the humans, don't come forward and help, who's going to help them?
And as it says on your T-shirt, you are standing for humanity. Today, there's a lot of talk, politically as well, about refugees coming from Syria. And without going into the ins and outs of the political debate, how is this impacting on charity donations?
I would say, alhamdulillah, I would say that in terms of people, we are very generous as people. I would say people are still coming forward and they see the need, and this is what's beautiful. I will say it regarding the Muslim community, we have a lot of people that donate and a lot of people who genuinely want to help. There's people out there that don't realise it's not just about the money. Donating the money, yes, it will get the food out to people, and we want that obviously, but also it's your time, it's your effort, it's your prayers. These are all things that the Syrian people need. And I really, even though the negativity in the press is there, I feel that we haven't stopped. I think the human beings, the people of this beautiful community in Manchester, are giving and giving and giving them, and God bless them and elevate them, because it hasn't distracted them, it hasn't stopped them from wanting to help. Fair enough, not knowing about the campaign, this is why we're here, this is why charities are here. SKT Welfare are trying to make people aware of it, and that's why we've come to your honourable radio station to try and get people to know that we're still in need, the Syrian people are still in need, and we still need to serve humanity.
So as well as donations, you are looking for volunteers too?
That's right, yes we are, definitely. So SKT Welfare prides itself on volunteering, so we can't do what we do without our beautiful and wonderful volunteers, but we need more volunteers, and we need more volunteers throughout the north, men and women, all ages, all sizes and all races. Anyone who has got us some time, who wants to make a difference, and we welcome everybody to come and help SKT Welfare. Let's make a difference. And when we say volunteering, you have authority to do whatever campaign you want to do. If you want to do a fun day, then you do a fun day. If you want to join us doing one of our campaigns, then by all means you can. But we love to give people autonomy. We love to give people the right to do whatever they want to do. Obviously, as long as it's not going to offend anybody, we're happy for people to come forward and help us.
So can you give us some examples of what you've been doing recently? Believe was it a car wash as well?
Yes, we've had a car wash actually in Cheetham Hill. Alhamdulillah, it did really, really well. We've done
we all need cars washing, right? So come in.
Yes, we definitely do. I need mine. Coming to think about it, I need mine, and we've got another one coming up in Bolton as well. So I think I need to take mine down there. But also we had the iftar event at Manzil, which is also local to Cheetham Hill. We've had another iftar event in Oldham. We're going to have a fun day in Bolton on the 2nd of July. We've got an iftar event in Bradford. We've just had a ladies gathering where we recited poetry upon the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and we also did a fundraiser with that. We've had events up and down the country. We've had events in London. We did a mosque to mosque trek, so it's a sponsored walk to one mosque to the other. We've got a planned walk in Heaton Park. That's going to be after Ramadan, so we're doing the fundraising to get the sponsorship going now. So yeah, we've got a lot of campaigns going on, but it's still not enough. It's never enough, and we want to do more, inshallah.
Excellent. It's so good to see people who are so motivated about, helping the less fortunate.
No, definitely. I find the volunteers the most inspirational, because when they're volunteering and after they're volunteering, they're thanking me. And I just think to myself, no, I'm not to be thanked. It's because of you. We can't do anything without the volunteers. If the volunteers didn't give their time, we're nothing, and the Syrian people wouldn't get their need. We wouldn't be able to get the food packs over to them. So thank you to all the volunteers that have volunteered with us. God bless you all, and I pray that we can work together again. And please, anyone that's listening, come forward, help SKT Welfare to help volunteering further. And if you do want to help volunteering, you can contact us on our head office. It's 0300 3020786, or you can contact us through our Facebook, SKT Welfare, or through Twitter, again, SKT Welfare. Please do get in contact.
And I'd just like to add as well, I think you touched on this before, Ramadan for Muslims is not just about giving money to charity, but your time.
Definitely.
What price can you put on giving those, precious few hours? They can make such a huge difference to people in Syria, to people in Palestine.
Definitely.
Hifsah, I meant to also ask you about the recent deployment. Do you want to talk a bit more about that, about Turkey?
Yes, of course. So thankfully, SKT Welfare had a deployment. It was the first ever deployment that they had, and it was in February 2015. And the idea behind it was because we've never physically taken any volunteers from the UK to Turkey, we wanted to see what our volunteers would like and whether they would like to actually physically experience something like this. So in 2015, we went out to Turkey in a place called Rihanna, which is a Turkish town, and it borders the Syrian border. And what we've done, generally the refugees and refugee camps are placed in this area. So we've also got our base in that area because that's where generally the refugees are. And what we were doing, we went out there to see what we could do as an organisation to help alleviate the Turkish government, because obviously they're doing so much already. There's only so much a country can do, and to find out what the needs were for the Syrian people. And alhamdulillah, when we went out there, it was very, very difficult in terms of meeting people in such a distraught situation that have been war-torn. The psychological state of some of the people were very, very difficult. And you could see that there was a need. There was a need for safety. There was a need to know that our children were in a safe place. Because there's one thing to look at somebody as a person, but SKT Welfare doesn't do that. When we help people, we don't help people, we help our brothers and our sisters and our children. And when you make somebody your family, you're going to work hard to get them into a state of safety. And that's our reality, and that's what we do. We pride ourselves on being a family, and that we want for our families what we want for our own families.
That's amazing. And how about the work with the orphanage as well, you mentioned to me before we came on air?
Yeah, so the work with our orphanage, so alhamdulillah, we actually set up the Springs of Hope. So after going out to Turkey, we decided to build an orphanage, and it was named by our patron, Sheikh Muhammad Al Yaqubi, the Springs of Hope. And this orphanage it has the capacity to house up to 68 mothers or carers and 194 children. Now, what makes us different in terms of our orphanage is that we have made it self-sustainable. So we're making the people who are in the self-sufficient. So we want to organise so that they can, like, say for example, teach them how to sew, teach them how to make a living so that they're not dependent. But before we can do that, we've got to obviously run the centre. So we've actually got a project going at the moment which is £20 a month to sponsor an orphan. Now, our orphan sponsorship is different to the one that we see in comparison to other charities. So we don't do one-to-one sponsorship in the sense that you will know everything about that individual child and that individual child will know everything about the donor. We don't do that because psychologically it doesn't encourage the child to know that they've got the rest of the world to live for. It limits them in the mind to say that, okay, if this donor stops, I've got nothing. And we don't want that. They've already come from a disruptive background. We don't want to keep them in a state of disruption. So what we've done is we've developed the orphan sponsorship at £20 a month. The child knows and the donor knows that it's going to the Spring of Hope Centre to deal with clothing, to deal with education, to deal with food, to deal with warming of the building, and also to deal with development for the elders, like the women or the single parents that are there, because we try and make the centre so that if there's like a mother that's there, because in Islam an orphan is when the father has passed away, so there'll be mothers but no fathers, or there might not be any mother or father, so there may be an auntie who can look after the child, and that's what we do. We try and pair the child up with somebody that's their relation. And then once we've got this £20 a month going on for the orphan sponsorship, that means the child knows that there's a donation coming in. The person who's donating knows that they're donating to it. So they'll be advised in a general circumstance that this is what it's going towards. This is how the campaign is going. This is how Spring of Hope is going. So that's what we do. Inshallah, that's what we try to promote, so that the child knows that they've got the world to live for. They can be whoever they want to be. There's nothing stopping them. They're not subject to this money. We don't want to limit the mind of the child. Every child wants to be their dream, and we want that child just like we would want our own children to dream, because everybody should dream, and that's what we encourage with SKT Welfare, to dream and dream big and aim for your dream.
So what other projects do you have on the go? I mean, it sounds like you're doing so much.
Alhamdulillah, we are. Thanks to God, we are. At the moment, we've already discussed the food parcel, so I can't stress enough how much that's important. And I forgot to mention that we actually run a bakery that's run by SKT Welfare. Our volunteers are working in Idlib, which is a part of Syria, where we provide bread, and bread is a staple diet to the Syrian people. And alhamdulillah, through the generous donations of our donors, we've actually fed over 178,000 people, and with the continuation of donations of the Dates for Syria campaign that we have, we're able to continue to support these people in Syria. The Dates for Syria campaign, you buy a box of dates for £10 and you've got 50 families fed for bread. So that's an amazing campaign that we're doing. So that's the Idlib bakery that we're currently doing, and that's part of the food project I forgot to mention. We've also got our hospital out in Syria, in northern Syria. It's called Al Huda Hospital. It's one of its kind in this area. We actually have a capacity of 1.5 million people in the surrounding area. It's centrally located. Recently, it had been attacked, and alhamdulillah, we didn't have as much damage as we have previously. But this is one hospital that deals with, the brain. It's neurological sciences. It deals with the brain. It deals with burns. It deals with, babies that are born premature. It deals with X-rays. It deals with, dire operations, and it also deals with less severe operations as well. So this is a campaign that we've also got, and again, this needs support. It's something that you're saving somebody's life. It's a matter of life and death. If somebody comes to the hospital, they're in need. They need to have, we take for granted when we go to hospital, we know we're going to be seen. Okay, fair enough, we have long queues, but we know we're going to be seen. It's dire need. People come in and they either haven't got a limb, so they need a synthetic limb to be able to walk, or they've been cut open, or they've had the shells have burnt the face and they need grafting for the face. So this is a project that's ongoing and it needs support, inshallah. So we're asking people to donate whatever they can with that, and that's a continuous project. And we have a term called Sadqa Jariyah, which means a continuous charity. So what we say to people is, what you could do is, if you donate, you can donate in the name of a deceased family member so that they get the reward for it. So that's one project that we do. Another project is the water project in Gaza. As we all know, the water quality in Gaza is not very good at all. It's not fit for human consumption. So what we've done is we built a project where we desalinise the water there, because the water is very salty. So that costs £83 per day to allow in excess of 1,000 people, more than 1,000 people. I think it's 83,000 litres of water. I could get my statistics wrong, so don't quote me on it, but it deals with a lot of people, because the water content is not good for us. It's not good for us to drink. It's not good for animals to drink. So we shouldn't, we wouldn't want to drink it ourselves. So we don't want them to drink it. So that we've got a project running in Gaza at the moment with the water. We've also, as I mentioned briefly earlier, about the winterization project. Syria and its bordering cities, or countries rather, Jordan, Iraq, Syria, Turkey, they have very severe winters. So we do, coming closer to the winter, we do push out for the winterization packs to cover things like, warm clothing, so jumpers, scarves, hats, gloves, things like that. So we do have them projects, and they're ongoing projects. And lastly, we do deployments. So when I went out on the deployment in February, that was the first of its kind, and the response of it was so successful that what we now do is allow our volunteers to see where the money's going. So we don't outsource our work. So from the point of donation, it never leaves SKT Welfare until it gets to the recipient. So it goes from you donating to SKT Welfare then take it to the refugees or pass it to our workers in Syria to give it to them.
It's been so lovely hearing all this, information about all the excellent work that you're doing, Hifsah. So I think perhaps the contact details again for listeners, who are thinking about donating either their money or their time.
Oh, thank you very much for that, Sister Syra. So yeah, in terms of donating, you can contact us on 0300 30 20 786. That's 0300 30 20786. And for those who are internet savvy and would rather donate online, you can always go to our website www.sktwelfare.org/donate. Or for those of you who would like to volunteer with us, and I really, really can't stress how important it is to volunteer, and how much we need your help in being able to help those who need our help. So the people of Syria, the people of Morocco, people of Pakistan, even the UK. We have soup kitchens in the UK, which I forgot to mention. We also do localised projects in the UK. So we want to be able to help the need here as well. So please come forward. In terms of volunteering, you can contact us on our Facebook page, SKT Welfare. You can contact us on Twitter, and you could also ring us on our head office number again at 0300 30 20 786. Or you can contact me directly. My name's Hifsah, and my mobile number is 0780 80 16873.
Thank you so much to Hifsah from SKT Welfare for coming in. It's been fantastic having you in, and how uplifting as well, hearing, what the great work that you're doing, all of you and your volunteers. And, I really hope our listeners are listening and taking notes and hopefully donating both time and money to you.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you for having us on the station, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak to the audience, the wonderful community of Cheetham Hill. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can call us on 0161 839 9817. We're on Facebook. Just type in Awaz Community Radio, tweet us at AwazRadio122, or email us awazcommunityradio@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. It's been a really interesting show, hearing all about the excellent work that SKT Welfare do. And I don't know who it was who said this very famous quote, but we rise by lifting others. And I hope that our listeners can do the same. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.